Professor Bhutta, how successful were the MDGs in improving child health?
Oh, I would say they were very successful. At the time when the Millennium Goals were coined back in 2000, it took a while for countries to kind of scale up and understand what these were all about. And of the 8 Millennium Goals, I think Goal 4 and 5 on child and maternal mortality have got the most attention and have led to action in countries. So if you now look at where we were in the year 2000, with 10 million child deaths every year, to the current figure of around 6 million deaths, that's 4 million fewer deaths every year. That's no mean achievement. It's the fastest acceleration in child survival in recent memory. And as such, therefore, the Millennium Goals can take credit for spearheading and catalyzing that acceleration. One can also say, had we been smarter, we might have been able to do things a little differently. So in some ways, the Millennium Goals also boxed people into a very narrow spectrum of things. But by and large, they have been a hugely successful way of galvanizing global action.
Thank you, that's a very convincing argument. But what evidence is there that the MDGs were responsible for this acceleration?
So I think a direct correlation between the Millennium Goals, country level uptake, and action within countries is difficult and challenging. But from the successful examples that we have, the countries that have made remarkable progress in the last few years, the Bangladeshs of the world, Nepal, other countries where there has been concerted national level planning and action, I think it's safe to say that the Millennium Goals played a very significant role in not only increasing political awareness at country level of the importance of doing so, but also a healthy competition between countries, between neighboring geographies. It also allowed people to not only go with that wider mission, but also because of additional work around the Millennium Goals, such as monitoring coverage and interventions, the work of Countdown, also focus policymakers on exactly how to do it. So it wasn't just the goal in itself, it was also the journey that was important. And many countries did it absolutely fantastically, and others have not yet achieved the same goals.
Okay, and so now we're moving from the MDGs to the Sustainable Development Goals. What challenges now remain for child health?
So I'm all for Sustainable Development Goals. However, we have kind of gone from famine to feast. So from a Millennium Goal target setting process, which was relatively restricted, wasn't very consultative, I think we have had probably one of the most wide-ranging and extensive consultative processes around the Sustainable Development Goals that you can imagine. The end result of that is, because it's been so inclusive, that you've got everything in it. So in terms of aspirations of where the world wants to go, from things ranging from climate change to environment to security to human rights to collaborations, there are now 17 goals and over 140 or 50 targets which are changing by the day and indicators. And therefore it's challenging to see the same focus on child health and maternal health as we have had in the last decade. In some ways, it's appropriate that we have additional targets. So for example, the global burden of non-communicable diseases is a very important issue which was completely ignored in the Millennium Goals. The whole issue of newborn survival did not receive enough attention in the same decade. So the Sustainable Development Goals offer countries an opportunity to go beyond health, to focus on social determinants, to also focus on some tangibles around improving what I would call human capital. They are aspirational, and as time passes, we will probably see some of these goals, like the Millennium Goals, falling by the wayside. What we hope as practitioners, as public health professionals, is that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So there is an unfinished agenda around maternal, newborn, and child survival that many countries, perhaps over half of all the countries with the highest burden, still have to focus on. And we hope that we can find a way of doing that without losing sight of everything else that needs to be done.